When Pride Burns The Home. Medium White Star Chapter 1. A marriage built on opposite winds. Amara grew up in a bustling neighborhood where she quickly learned one thing: if you don't speak loudly, people will step over you. Her father always told her, a woman must be strong, and she took strength to mean dominance, a mistake she never noticed. By 16, she was leading every conversation. By 20, friends came to her for decisions: what to wear, who to date, even how to solve their family problems. She liked being right, even when she wasn't. Michael was the opposite, a calm thinker, raised by quiet parents who taught him that wisdom speaks softly. He was not the type to argue over little things. He worked steadily, observed carefully, and believed that patience was more powerful than pride. They met at a youth empowerment conference. Amara was the outspoken presenter, Michael was the quiet organizer. She noticed him only when he approached afterward with a gentle compliment: you speak with fire. Fire can burn, but it can also warm a home if directed well. She laughed lightly, thinking he was trying to impress her. But it was the first warning life sent her, and she ignored it. They courted for a year. Michael loved her drive. Amara loved his stability, but she didn't want to be guided by it. Whenever he suggested a better path, she took the opposite direction, just to prove she could. Michael once told his mother, she is strong, but strength without control can become destruction. His mother replied softly, love her wisely, son. Do not compete with her fire. Build walls that keep the home safe. Michael listened, but Amara didn't. Their wedding was glamorous. Amara insisted on the most expensive decorations and invited people from every corner of her life, mostly to show that she had won. Michael wanted something smaller, meaningful. But as usual, her decision won. Even during the reception, when the DJ asked the couple if they had a special song, Amara grabbed the microphone first. I will choose the music, she declared. Michael smiled politely, but inside a quiet fear settled. This marriage will be loud, louder than love. That night, as she hung her wedding dress, she said proudly, I'm the woman who will take us far. Michael touched her hand and whispered, let us go far together. She smiled, but her heart did not understand the meaning. That misunderstanding became a seed. And seeds always grow. Amara had a business vision. A fashion empire, big, fast, and loud. She didn't want to build success. She wanted to arrive at it. Michael, working at a respected engineering firm, earned enough to support their home. He promised to invest in her idea slowly. Let us test your designs, build customers, and expand gradually, he advised. But to Amara, patience felt like chains. One afternoon, she had lunch with an old school friend, Lade, confident and flashy like her. My dear, why start small? Lade urged. Take a loan. Use your husband's name. Big moves make big success. That night, Amara brought documents to Michael. Sign these. They are for business licensing, she said casually. Michael trusted her, so he signed without reading deeply. A week later, he discovered the truth. The house was collateral for a huge bank loan. Michael was stunned. Amara, you used our home. She rolled her eyes. You worry too much. In 1 year you will thank me. Michael sat silently. He wasn't angry, he was afraid. Fear she didn't notice. The business launched like thunder: flashy ribbon-cutting ceremonies, Instagram ads, celebrity endorsements. People praised her boldness. She became drunk on applause. Michael would gently remind her, keep records, save profits, watch spending. Her usual response, please, Michael, let the business people talk. Your engineering brain won't understand. She dismissed him in front of employees, friends, even strangers. Success made her deaf. Arrogance made her blind. She spent more than she earned. She rented a bigger office. She traveled for unnecessary exhibitions. She bought luxury items in the name of branding. Michael watched the flood rising, but she refused to see the rain. Then the fire came, literally, a high-voltage spark in the warehouse. Flames swallowed everything. Fabrics, machines, inventory, all ashes before sunrise. Insurance. She hadn't thought it was important. Suddenly, the applause disappeared. Debts surfaced like sharks. Banks demanded payment. Amara sobbed in the ruins of her dream. Michael wrapped his arms around her. We still have each other, he whispered. We can rebuild. But you must listen this time. And for the first time, her pride trembled. But not enough. The door for temptation opens, extended, tilde 5 longer, In the middle of their struggle, Kelvin appeared, wealthy, charming, and conveniently helpful. He was the type of man who entered a room and made everyone feel he owned the air inside it. Amara knew him from university, a man known for expensive cars and questionable morals. But now, he showed up with empathy and money. Michael's instinct told him this help has a price. He tried to talk to her, don't rely too much on Kelvin. Accept assistance with caution. Amara reacted defensively, must you always oppose me? He is helping us when everyone else looks away, including you. Michael froze. He had given her everything, his savings, his trust, his peace. Now she accused him of doing nothing. Kelvin paid their rent. Kelvin funded small stock. Kelvin called at night, laughing with her for hours. Michael would lie awake beside her, staring at the ceiling, hearing every giggle as a knife. One day, he gently reached for her phone to silence a late-night message. She snatched it away fast, too fast. Michael breathed deeply. Amara, please. This is not right. She exploded, you are jealous because he's more successful. Stop trying to control me. Michael whispered painfully, I am trying to protect us. But she no longer saw protection, only limitation. Soon, rumors began to spread. Neighbors whispered. Friends exchanged worried looks. Even her family tried to caution her. She pushed everyone away. You all hate to see me rise. Michael's heart finally cracked. He stopped arguing. He stopped warning. He stopped hoping. One evening, Kelvin dropped her off late again. She stepped inside with a bright smile until she saw a stack of papers on the dining table. Michael stood there with swollen eyes. I won't force you anymore, he said quietly. Amara's heart sank as she read the heading, Petition for Divorce. The fire she once loved in herself turned into ice. Michael moved out the next morning. No shouting. No accusations. He simply said, I love you too much to stay and watch you destroy us. Amara watched him walk away, proud enough not to chase him, scared enough to tremble. Kelvin saw his chance. He became controlling quickly, questioning where she went, who she spoke with, how she dressed. The free help turned into a cage. You owe me, he kept reminding her. Without Michael, his tone changed. You belong to me now. Amara realized she had traded a loving husband for a silent nightmare. She called Michael, he didn't answer. She visited his workplace, he had resigned. She asked his family, they refused to reveal his location. Her world collapsed into regret. Nights became battles with memory. Days became slow punishments of loneliness. She saw other couples holding hands and felt a stone in her chest. The woman who once believed she needed no one, now desperately needed the man she pushed away. Months passed. Money from Kelvin slowed. Arguments increased. One late night, Kelvin yelled, I didn't help you because you are special, I helped you because you were weak. He threw money in her face and walked out. The door slammed like a final judgment. Amara crumbled to the floor. Her tears tasted like every wrong decision she made. For the first time in her life, she admitted she was wrong. Amara sought change. She joined a women's support group, took business management classes, volunteered to help young entrepreneurs, rebuilt her character from humility. She learned how to listen, plan, respect partnership, apologize without excuses. It took time, a long, painful time. Nearly a year later, she was chosen to assist with a community housing project. She stood in the sun, directing volunteers, when a familiar voice quietly said, you still speak like fire. But now, the fire warms. She spun around. Michael. Her breath vanished. Her knees weakened. Tears burst like a broken dam. Michael. I am sorry, she sobbed. I destroyed everything with my pride. I lost the best man God ever gave me. If forgiveness has a price, I will spend my whole life paying. Michael's eyes glistened. I left to give you room to see yourself, not to punish you. And I prayed every day that we would find our way back. Amara covered her face with shaking hands. Do I still have a place beside you? Michael stepped forward and gently held Amara's shaking hands. His touch felt familiar yet distant, like returning home after a long exile. Do I still have a place beside you? Her voice was barely a whisper. Michael looked into her eyes for a long moment, not searching for beauty, but for change. And he saw it. Not the proud, sharp fire she once carried, but a softer, wiser flame, one that could warm, not destroy. He pulled her into his arms. She cried against his chest, soaking his shirt with months of regret. "I forgive you, Amara," he murmured. "But forgiveness is not the end, it is the beginning of new work." She nodded quickly, clinging to him like life itself. "I will listen. I will walk with you, not ahead of you. We build together, and I will never forget that again." They sat together under the evening sky, speaking openly for the first time in years. He shared his fears. She confessed her pride. He admitted where he had been too silent. She apologized for every wound she caused. Every sentence was a brick. Every tear was the cement. They were rebuilding their home, word by word. Michael arranged counseling with a marriage mentor at church. Amara agreed eagerly, no excuses this time. The counselor told them, a home collapses when one person stops listening. Communication is the pillar of peace. So they practiced weekly financial planning together. Decisions by discussion, not assumption. Mutual respect, always. Prayer together each night. Amara returned to business, but differently. She started a small tailoring shop in their living room. No loans, no flashy spending, just skill, patience, and teamwork. Michael helped track profits and budgets. They celebrated every little success like a miracle. When customers praised her new designs, Amara smiled and said, "This time, I did not rise alone. My husband's wisdom is the foundation." And every time she said it, Michael's heart healed a little more. One evening, Kelvin appeared at her shop, suddenly polite again. "Amara, come back to real business. I can still help you grow fast." Before Amara could speak, Michael stood beside her calmly. "She doesn't need shortcuts anymore." Amara stepped forward and said firmly, "I used to be blind, but now, I see who truly builds and who destroys. Your kind of help is a trap, and I no longer live in cages." Kelvin scoffed and left. But this time, Amara didn't tremble. She stood tall, but humble. Her greatest victory had nothing to do with fashion. It was conquering the pride inside her. Months later, Amara's small brand grew fast, the right way this time. Customers loved her respectful attitude, quality work, honesty about deadlines and prices. Industry magazines wrote about her as the woman who rose twice. She gave motivational talks, saying marrying a wise partner is a blessing, but refusing to listen is a curse you bring upon yourself. Michael always sat in the front row, smiling proudly. One night, while closing the shop, Amara placed her head on Michael's shoulder. "You saved me twice," she whispered. "First from the world, and then from myself." Michael smiled softly. "And you saved us, by learning what love truly means." They held each other in peaceful silence. No noise, no arguments, just two hearts that finally understood the same language. But Michael, gentle, patient, kind-hearted Michael, surprised her. He didn't turn her away. He didn't remind her of her mistakes. He welcomed her back with quiet acceptance, though the pain in his eyes told her he had suffered deeply. From that moment, something in Amaka shifted. She became softer, humbler, more understanding. She took responsibility fully and without excuses. She apologized not just with words, but with actions. She learned to listen. She learned to love with gratitude instead of pride. Slowly, her life began to rebuild itself. She returned to tailoring, but this time she approached her craft with more passion and patience. She no longer chased competition or tried to prove anything to anyone. Instead, she focused on her customers, treating each one with care. And her business began to grow again, little by little. Michael noticed the change. The woman who once walked with her head raised too high now walked with grace. And the home that had once echoed with misunderstandings and anger was now filled with laughter, teamwork, and gentle conversations. One evening, as they sat outside watching the sunset, Michael said quietly, "Amaka, you've changed." She smiled softly. "Life changed me, and you helped me become better." He took her hand, squeezing gently. "We will rebuild everything together." And they did. Amaka found joy again, not in money, not in pride, not in showing the world she was strong, but in love, humility, and the second chance she had been given. Her tailoring shop later became one of the most respected in the community, not because she pushed others down, but because she lifted herself up the right way. And each day, she woke up thankful for the lessons, for the pain that shaped her, and for Michael, the man who loved her. Enough months passed, and Amaka's life seemed to settle into a peaceful rhythm. But peaceful didn't mean easy. Rebuilding a life, even a forgiven one, required work, patience, and a kind of strength she had never needed before. One Monday morning, as she sat in her small shop ironing a freshly sewn gown, she felt a stirring inside her chest. Something new, something bigger. Her shop, Amaka Stitches, had begun attracting more customers than she could handle alone. People came not only because her sewing was perfect, but because she treated everyone with respect and warmth. Her story of fall and redemption had spread quietly in the community, turning into inspiration for many. That morning, she whispered to herself, "I can grow this, I can do more." She wanted to do more than sew clothes. She wanted to build a business that would empower other young women who had gone through challenges like hers. Michael noticed the sparkle in her eyes when she returned home that evening. "You've been thinking about something," he said gently. Amaka laughed softly. "You know me too well. Tell me." So she told him her dream, expanding her shop, training young girls, opening her doors to women who had been abandoned, rejected, or broken, women who needed a skill and a sisterhood. Michael listened, his heart swelling with pride. "It's a good dream," he said, "and I believe you can do it." For the first time in a long time, Amaka felt trusted not just as a wife, but as a woman with purpose. But dreams often attract challenges, and hers came in a form she never expected. Victor. He returned to town. No one knew why he came back, but rumors spread quickly. Some said he had lost everything. Some said he came to beg forgiveness. Others whispered he intended to cause trouble. Amaka tried to ignore it, until the day he showed up at her shop. She froze when she saw him standing there, taller, thinner, looking worn out and humbled in a way she had never seen. "Amaka, we need to talk," he said. "No," she replied firmly, her voice steady. "There's nothing left to talk about." He swallowed, guilt creeping across his face. "I wronged you, I know. But please, hear me out." As he spoke, customers watched silently, tension filling the room. Amaka took a deep breath and stepped outside with him. Victor apologized, not in a smooth, manipulative way, but in a broken, honest one. "I was proud, foolish, and wicked," he said. "And I lost everything. You didn't deserve how I treated you." Amaka nodded slowly. "Thank you for apologizing, but my life has moved on. I don't hold hate in my heart, but I can't give you what you're looking for." "I'm not asking for anything," he said quietly, "just forgiveness, and maybe, a chance to make peace." After a long silence, Amaka spoke gently. "I forgive you, but my future is with Michael. I'm a different woman now." Victor's eyes softened, and he nodded before walking away, this time, truly letting go. And Amaka, she felt lighter than she had in years. When she told Michael about her encounter with Victor, his face darkened for a moment. Pain resurfaced. Memories he had tried to bury pushed their way back. "Did he say anything else?" Michael asked carefully. Amaka touched his hand. "My love, you have nothing to fear." It took days, maybe weeks, but he eventually believed her, not just because she told him, but because her actions every day proved her loyalty. Their bond grew stronger, their conversations deeper, their hearts more united. With Michael's support, Amaka began expanding her business. She rented a bigger space. Michael helped with painting and carpentry. Neighbors volunteered. Women from church donated tables, chairs, and sewing machines. The day her new training center opened, she cried tears of joy. Young women from all walks of life filled the room, single mothers, widows, school dropouts, and girls who simply wanted a chance. Amaka stood before them and shared her story, not hiding her mistakes, but using them as a torch to light others' paths. "I fell," she said, voice steady, "but falling taught me humility. Losing taught me gratitude. And standing up again taught me strength. You can stand, too. And I will help you." The room erupted in applause. That was the beginning of Amaka Foundation of Skills and Hope. Months later, as everything flourished, Amaka began to feel tired more often, nauseous, emotional. Michael insisted they go for a checkup. The doctor smiled after the examination. "Congratulations, Madam Amaka. You are 2 months pregnant." Amaka gasped. Michael froze. Then tears rolled down his cheeks. A baby, a new life, a fresh beginning. For years, they had prayed and waited. Now, at a time when they both had finally healed, God blessed them with the desire of their hearts. When they got home, Michael placed his hand on her stomach and whispered, "You will never lack love, none of us will again." Their home was filled with joy, laughter, and preparations. But this was only the beginning, because every blessing attracts new challenges, and every new season comes with its own tests. Conclusion: a story of grace, growth, and new beginnings. As the months passed, Ameka's life blossomed in ways she never imagined. The once prideful girl who had allowed ego and mistakes to guide her steps had transformed into a woman of humility, love, and wisdom. Her journey from success to failure, from heartbreak to healing, from confusion to clarity reshaped her into someone stronger than her circumstances. Her tailoring business kept growing, and her foundation became a refuge for many young women searching for a second chance. Under her guidance, they found confidence, skills, and hope. And each time Ameka watched them flourish, she whispered a quiet thanksgiving, remembering where she once stood. Victor never returned again. His chapter in her life had closed peacefully, without bitterness or regret. Forgiveness had set her free, and the peace that followed became a protective covering over her heart. Meanwhile, her home with Michael became a sanctuary of love. The pregnancy drew them even closer. They prayed together, planned together, laughed together, and prepared their hearts for the new life that was on the way. Michael, who once watched his marriage crumble, now watched it bloom into something deeper than he ever had before, a mature love built on patience, forgiveness, and understanding. When the day finally came, and Ameka held their newborn daughter in her arms, a beautiful baby girl with bright eyes and tiny fingers, they both knew their story had come full circle. Ameka looked at her daughter and whispered, "You will grow up in a home filled with love, not pride, peace, not pain, grace, not regret." Michael placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "We made it," he said softly. "Yes," Ameka smiled. "By God's grace, we did." Their home was no longer defined by mistakes but by redemption, no longer shaped by pride but by humility, no longer broken but rebuilt, stronger than before. And so Ameka's story became a testimony that no matter how far a person falls, growth is possible, healing is possible, and with humility, forgiveness, and love, even the most shattered lives can be pieced back together like the careful stitches of a tailor's hand. The end.